Oh, hey, didn't see you come in. Tell you what, why don't you come in, have a seat, and I'll tell you the very, very sad story of the man whose bachi were too short. It was January of 1993 when I first started training with San Jose Taiko. It was a training / auditioning class, and everybody in that class got the same pair of bachi, 16 inches long by 1 inch in diameter. And I know everyone today uses centimeters to measure the length, but it doesn't really matter what the length was for purposes of this story. I was stoked. I had my first pair of bachi, and I felt like a real Taiko player. I loved it. And for the next 6 or 7 years, I used bachi just like these. And one day at a Taiko conference that I can't remember by someone I also can't remember, I got handed these pair right here. You'll recognize these are the ones I do bachi tricks with. They're longer, they're 18 inches, but still by 1 inch. And when I first got them, I joked that, oh hey, these must be Taiko bachi for short people, haha. But after a few weeks of a learning curve, I realized these bachi are actually amazing. And I don't say this lightly. These bachi right here literally transformed the way I play Taiko. Those 2 extra inches were a game changer. And let me explain a few ways how that worked. For those first few years, I had an issue with overhitting the drum. And I know there's a lot of you out there that have the same issue. My size and my strength made it really easy for me to force and muscle the bachi into the drum, which actually created a really ugly sound. Instead of a warm, booming sound from the Taiko, it was very abrasive. I have a feeling that even though I didn't realize my bachi were too short, I was compensating for the short size by using muscle, and it just didn't work. But these bachi with those extra 2 inches added plenty of mass, which created more than enough force for my needs. In fact, I was able to kind of ease off. My Taiko became lighter, became easier, and the sound was booming and warm like I'd always wanted it to be. Another issue I had was that when I played naname especially, I stood too close to the drum, and that often made my strikes flat to the drum. That's a very abrasive sound too, not what I wanted. And even though 2 inches really isn't a lot of distance in terms of standing farther away from the drum, psychologically, I felt like I could allow myself to stand further away, further than 2 inches. And I extended my arms, I had a nice angle, a nicer angle, not abrasive. It looked better, it felt better, all because of the effect of 2 inches. And you know, when I look at old pictures and old videos with my original sized bachi, honestly, it looks like I'm holding 2 little stubby sticks in my hand. They do not look like they fit. The longer bachi though, they look like extensions of my arms, my limbs. They look like I'm projecting energy through my body, through the bachi, out through the tips, versus just little sticks where the energy just gets cut off. Now, again, this is subjective and it's a psychological difference, but it was a huge difference. Before I continue, I have a request for the Taiko community. If anybody out there knows who made these bachi, please let me know. I will buy 20 pairs and recommend the crap out of them. It's not just that they're long. You can get long pieces of wood easily. They're coated with some kind of lacquer or shellacking that has prevented them from ever splintering. And I use these things for like 7 to 8 years. Heavy usage. No splinters. Now eventually they started to have some major cracks and I had to retire them, but no splinters after 7 or 8 years, it's unheard of. That and the combination of the size and the perfect rounding, I love these, and if anyone out there knows who makes them, please let me know. I'm dying to find out. Now, like I said, these lasted about 7 to 8 years, but I realized, of course, I was gonna have to replace them before they got to a point I couldn't use them anymore. And then I had an epiphany. So yes, these bachi were way better than these bachi, but was there something better than these bachi? And that meant I had to do some exploration. So I made bachi that were a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, a little bit heavier, a little more porous, a little more dense. Just explore different kinds of woods and what was available to me. And in the end, I realized, You know what? 18 inches was actually perfect in terms of length. But there are different types of woods that may or may not benefit me depending on what I want to use them for. But at least I knew I had done my research and I knew more than I had known before. And that brings us to the reason I'm making this video in the first place. I want to ask all of you in the Taiko community, every single one of you who plays Taiko, 2 questions. Question number 1. Are you using the right bachi for you? Question number 2, how do you know? And question number 2 is almost more important than question number 1, because if you don't know, you don't know. If you recall, in the beginning of my story, I said we all got the same pair of bachi. Every single one of us got the same size. In that class, there was someone who was 5 feet tall. And I was 6'3". I mean, I'm still 6'3". But think about it, there's 15 inches of difference and we're using the same size bachi. We are literally a bachi length difference in height and we're using the same bachi. That makes no sense at all. At best, we would both be compensating an even amount. Like, it's not good for her, it's not good for me, but it's not horrible. But honestly, they were good for her and they were terrible for me and I didn't know. Now, before I continue, real quick, I want to make it really clear, I have no hard feelings about anybody in San Jose Taiko who trained me. I'm not upset about that at all. It was an unfortunate circumstance. They had never had someone even near my height, let alone such a huge difference in height. I wish they had thought about it. I wish I had thought about it, but it's water under the bridge. And I am really hoping that my struggles, which was about 15 years of figuring crap out, is now your benefit. You don't need to wait 15 years. You don't even need to wait a couple of years to figure out better bachi for you, because odds are there are better bachi for you. If you are using bachi that you were first given when you started playing Taiko, if you're still using them for your day-to-day chudaiko playing, there's a very good chance those bachi are not the right ones for you. It could be a matter of length, it could be a matter of weight, but there's probably something that's better, but you just don't know it yet. Nowadays, you have all the luxury in the world that I didn't have when I started. There was no Taiko conference, so there was no Taiko marketplace. There was no Asano Taiko US. I couldn't just place an order, I couldn't go there. If you were lucky, you were near the Taiko Dojo storefront, you could pick up a pair of bachi, but odds are you just had to go to a lumber yard, have them cut rods to a custom length, and maybe they would sand it or you would sand it. Nowadays, it's so much easier to try different sizes of bachi, so you really don't have an excuse unless you're one of the unlucky ones and there's really nothing nearby. You're gonna have to do rods and cut them into dowels. But you know what? It's worth it. It is so worth it. I spent 7 years, about 7 years, playing with bachi that were too short for me. That hampered my training and hampered my growth. And once I got the bachi that were the right size, my technique took off. Everything looked better, everything felt better, everything sounded better. I just wish I had known. And now you do. So to all the individuals out there, you owe it to yourself. Find a better pair of bachi. And if you are lucky, if you are one of the lucky ones, you are using the right kind of bachi. But that goes back to question number 2. How do you know? This isn't something that's going to be solved in a single practice. This is something that could take several months, several years, depending on how much you practice and how much time you want to put into it. But if you're like most Taiko players and you're going to be playing Taiko for many, many, many years, 2 years of experimenting to figure out the right bachi is nothing. And you will be glad you did it. Trust me. And for anyone out there who teaches Taiko, who has a Taiko group, who teaches workshops, whatever, you have a bigger burden because you owe it to your students to bring this up, to ask them to figure it out. It's not your responsibility to give them the right bachi, but it is your responsibility to guide them towards getting the right bachi. They don't know. They know nothing. Stick, drum, sound, yay. That's all you know when you start playing Taiko, for most of us anyways. So instructors, please, please help your students figure out what the right bachi is, because one size does not fit all. And before I end the last video for 2024, Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that either. This year has been amazing in terms of Taiko for me. Teaching Taiko at the Scottish Taiko Festival, just going to the festival was amazing. If you haven't had a chance to go, if you haven't checked it out, please do so. It's a very, very fun festival with some really, really awesome people. I had other workshops at Sano Taiko US that were really, really fun and very special to teach. And these videos take a lot of work. I don't get money for them, but I'm going to continue to do them because I love being a resource to the Taiko community. And if you have questions, comments, you want to heckle me, whatever, reach out to me on Facebook or the YouTube channel or tictactaiko@gmail.com. I am looking forward to teaching more workshops in 2025. If you're interested in workshops on things that I've talked about or things that you think you might want to have me come out and teach, please let me know. Doesn't have to be local. I'm able to travel at times. We'll have that conversation and see what happens. So, until next time, keep on practicing with the right bachi and be well.